Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be reviewing Louise's Holiday 2024 makeup collection. So welcome back, and as you have seen from the title, today we are reviewing Louise's 2024 makeup items. I definitely don't have all the items from Louise's Christmas launch because the brand always, especially for Christmas and special holidays, they do launch quite a lot. Also, if you're watching this, I do believe on the week that this video goes out, they will have their Black Friday sales, but I don't know yet will the holiday items be included. And second disclaimer, if you hear anything from the background, that's our dishwasher. I have very limited time on Sundays to film, so we just had to make do with what we had. But anyway, there's gonna be two sort of separate items we are reviewing. I will be reviewing one of their Christmas cracker boxes, so they had two options for the Christmas cracker sort of gift boxes, and I got I think they had red and gold, and I got the red version. So within that box, I think there was altogether, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think there was like 6 items, no sorry 6, let's see, we have the primer, eyeshadow palette, lip gloss, blush, eyeliner, yeah. So the Christmas crackers had 5 items, and then I did buy the sort of big book-sized multi-palette that has eyeshadows and basically whole face of products. But let's do this how I usually do my videos. So first I will go through base products, then some lip products, and then first the sort of individual, because there's one eyeliner here, I will discuss about that, and then we will go through the palettes lastly. However, as I said, one of the palettes is a multi-use palette, meaning that there's basically like a layer for each step of your makeup, so that's just something to consider. But let's actually now get to the products themselves. So for base, I'm not actually sure that I mentioned that we're having a base product here, because this isn't usually something that we have from Louise, because, well, this is actually not the second primer I've tried from them, and they have now actually come out with a powder and a skin tint this year, so they are definitely have now expanded beyond like these eyeshadow and cheek and lip products to now base products also. So the primer that was in the red version of the Christmas cracker gift box was the Get a Grip primer. So it is in this. I do have to say, like, I'm gonna already give praises. I do like how very over the top Christmas-esque everything in this Christmas collection is, and that goes to the packaging and everything. But this is how the primer is looking like, and this is basically a gripping primer. And my past experiences from gripping primers haven't been that great. I tried one from Catrice that was a long time ago, and I was not a fan of it. And I'm just gonna show how this goes on to your skin. There's quite a stiff stopper in this one, so spoiler alert, if you get this one, you might have to squeeze that tube quite hard to get some product. So this is how it looks. However, you shouldn't be intimidated by the red color, so when you spread it out, I did notice that when I first few times wore this, the red tint kind of, it was visible for a while, but once you let this sink into your skin for a minute or so, the red tint is gonna go away. So you don't have to be afraid when you apply this primer that you're gonna have like red tint all over your face, but it's just something that will dissipate. I'd say as a gripping primer, this is the primer that, for example, I've worn today. I do think this does what it's advertising it to be, so you can definitely feel when you put this on your face, and once it settles down a bit, it definitely is a stickier primer. Something else you should consider is that this is quite of a glowy primer in terms of finish, so as someone like me who has an oily skin, this is definitely something that I won't be rebuying even if this would become available for sale individually, because I have an oily linen skin. It's not as oily as it used to be when, for example, I was a bit younger, but on an everyday use I like a more smoothing primer. I am wearing a bit more matte leaning foundation currently, which is in my sort of like a foundation rotation, and with that one this actually goes quite well. I do have to powder the foundation for it to last, especially when you're using it together with this sort of more of a glowier, grippier primer. But if you are a person who likes a grippy primer that gives a sort of glowy finish, then I would maybe give this one a go. And I did notice on their website that you can now actually buy the primers that were included in the 2 Christmas cracker gift boxes. You can buy these, I think, now separately, so you don't have to buy the whole gift box. But that was actually the only base products, and let's now discuss the two of the lip products. And actually one of the lip products is not a Christmas item from Louise, but it's still a new product that I tried from them, so I wanted to include it in this video. So let's first go through that the lip product that was in the sort of Christmas cracker gift box, and then I will just show that random lip product I have. So I think this is a product that they brought back. So these are called the Lip Drip Reflective Formula. Not sure are these meant to be lip glosses or lip balms, but for me this is definitely a gloss. I think if you watch it closely, you can clearly see that it is very sparkly, and I will actually agree that on the lips this is also really sparkly. If you got the red version of the Christmas cracker gift box, you will get this pink one, and this smells like raspberry. And with lip products, I don't actually mind scents that much. The raspberry scent, it does stay for a while, but after I think an hour or so of using, the scent will dissipate, so it's definitely not gonna last you through the whole day. But it is still that if you're sensitive to scents, it is still something you should consider, because you can clearly smell it when you use this. This has one of these sort of metallic applicators. I know these have been very trendy with different makeup products, especially during this year. I think with lip products and then also with eye cream products. For me, I would prefer a doe foot on my lip gloss, because with this one, because it is quite of a... If this would be a lip balm that you will just use as something to wipe quickly on your lips, then maybe this could be okay, but because this is still a very shiny gloss, and especially as someone who puts this on top of lip liners, I don't feel that I get the precision with this kind of very wide metallic applicator. But on the other hand, I do have to say that this is, for example, very easy to clean up, because when you apply something like this on top of lip liner, it will lift some of the color underneath, but this is very easy to clean off compared to, for example, doe foot, that usually when you get some lip liner or lipstick to the doe foot, it's pretty hard to get off, but from this one it's easy clean. So I'm a bit 50-50 how I like this sort of applicator, but if I could choose, I would have rather taken the doe foot, because it's a bit more precise. In terms of the formula, this is a bit of a thicker gloss, so I would be very... because it's in a tube, it's also a bit difficult to control how much you get gloss. It's quite easy to squirt like too much out of this at once. So with this one, if you don't like super thick glosses, and especially in an applicator where you don't have so much control how much gloss comes out when you apply it, then this might not be for you. If you like a thicker glossy, like especially this sort of shimmery gloss, I would recommend this one. It is pink, and when you, for example, apply this to your bare skin, it looks pink, but actually when I applied this to my lips one day, it was sheer through. So yeah, that's just if don't expect this to be alone like this very sort of hot punchy pink, which it kind of looks in the tube, but actually if you just apply this to your bare lips, it's gonna be more like a see-through. But on a sort of pink lip liner or a pink lipstick, this does actually look really nice. Something I'm not exactly a fan of in terms of the packaging is this, that they are putting these keychains to almost now everything. I can kind of get it that this could be like fun thing in one of their lip products, but they are now doing this keychain thing in like almost every one of their lip products, and this honestly for me makes this just unnecessary heavy and not that convenient to store. So I would rather have them take the keychain thing away, but maybe for a teen or someone this could be bring some added value to the product, but I think for me in my practical use in my purse, the keychain part, especially since it's quite big compared to the tube, it just takes extra space. But formula wise, bit of a thicker gloss. I will be able to get use out of this one, but perhaps not my favorite gloss, but that's more related to the applicator of this rather than maybe the gloss formula itself. Then something that I did dig out to my rotation, but this isn't in the holiday collection, so I did try out one of the other, what were these called? Stay Shining lip oils were, I think, what these are technically categorized as, so these are the lip oils in a very extra packaging. And I already tried one of these, which came out with the sort of Easter themed budget box. But I did want to try out this other one, which is a lemon themed one. I also think I got this in one of the mystery boxes. And compared to the one that was in the sort of Easter themed budget box, this is actually a see-through clear gloss compared to the one. The white chocolate one was also see-through, but it had actually more glitter particles. This doesn't have, oh, trying to apply it on my hand, so I hope you can kind of see, but this one clearly is just a clear see-through gloss, so this clearly shows that if you are eyeing these individually on P. Louise's website, you do have to check that are you getting the one with formulas that have the sparkle, or are you getting one of these kind of formulas that don't have any sparkle in it. It kind of looks yellow at the end of the tube, but as you saw from my hand, that this is actually a clear gloss. This has the sort of lemon scent to it, but the lemon scent, it did dissipate quite quickly once you applied this to your lips, so you don't have to worry about this, because I have actually been wearing the lip balm that came in the same set with this one, and the lip balm has quite of a strong lemon scent that you can actually kind of taste quite a long time when you apply it, but with this one, with the lip oil, I noticed that the scent and the sort of lemon taste, it dissipated much quicker, so that's just something to know. Overall, I think it's a nice, I treat these as lip glosses because for me these are more like lip glosses. It's a nice formula. I definitely like this one better because these do have the doe foot applicator, but I do think with these ones especially you have to like this very sort of big extra packaging. Some people will like it, some don't, so that's just something to consider when you're thinking that are you gonna get one of these. But aside from missing the glitter particles, I don't think this is that different of a formula to the white chocolate version that I've tried earlier this year. But yeah, those were all the lip products, and now let's lastly go through the one sort of individual cheek product I have before we'll go through the palettes, which one of them will have much more cheek products included in it. So the only individual cheek product I have is one of their Cheek of It Flority Flush liquid blushes, so these are their sort of OG liquid blushes. And this is in a new shade, and again this was exclusive to the sort of Christmas cracker gift box in the version red, but I do think this might be now individually available if you go to the website and sort of check the tab that has all of these cheek liquid blushes. The shade of this is Winter Rose, and I think I praised the previous shade that I tried in this one. It was this sort of terracotta rose kind of color that I was actually positively surprised, because P. Louise likes to advertise that, oh, all of the products are so pigmented and everything, but actually did praise that it was actually buildable in a positive way. With this one, this is a bit different kind of formula in terms of the fact that how the base of it has been built. So compared to the rose terracotta shade that I've tried previously, this is clearly a white-based pink blush. So I'm gonna just put some in my hand so you can maybe see what I am talking about. So let's see, are we? And I am definitely having more fun. So this is definitely a white-based pink, and with this one I definitely had a bit of a learning curve, because I initially applied this as I had applied the previous shade, put in just 3 dots, thinking that, oh, it was last time quite buildable and you could easily put a first layer and then see if you liked it and applied more. With this one, I would definitely say that less is more, because the white base in this one is so heavy that I did the 3 dot thing that I usually do with my liquid blushes, and I had a very bright pink cheek, and I was thinking that, oh my god, what am I gonna do? I'm looking basically like a clown, which is of course, if you like this kind of look, that's good for you, but not the kind of look maybe that I want with my blush. So with the second time when I used this, I learned my lesson. I initially started out with a 1 dot and then I built it very carefully. Something you should also consider that on some skin undertones, I know that white-based cheek products don't work, they will just look ashy. So if you have a skin undertone that you know that white-based cheek products will look ashy on you, then I would skip this particular shade and look for other shades, because they do have different kinds of pink shades of this particular blush in their collection that don't, for example, have this strong of a white base. On my particular skin undertone, because I have a cool rosy undertone, the white base is alright, and some white-based blushes, when I use them at the right amount, they actually do look very pretty on me. So this is actually, for my skin undertone, a suitable shade, but I just have to be very careful with how much I go at one go, because with this one it was definitely very easy to go overboard very quickly. Aside from that one, I do think in terms of how easy this was to blend to your cheeks and how it lasted, this was very on par with the previous shade I have tried from the brand in this particular product. It's just that with this particular shade I would be a bit more careful how much I apply initially. If you do like a very bright and punchy blush with the Go, I do think this is going to be a perfect shade for you. And I do like this shade of pink once I did get a hang of it in what kind of amounts I will have to put it on my cheek. So this is, I think, one of the winners of the Christmas, of this sort of like products that I got from the Christmas collection. Is just that I have to be a bit careful for my makeup preferences when I use this one. So that was actually the only individual cheek products, and now let's get to the palettes, though I will have to say like one of the palettes, there's like a lot of cheek products in that one, so we will actually like maybe continue with the cheek products theme in the next section. Okay, maybe we will do so in this section that I will first go through the one palette that is like individually just an eyeshadow palette. There's one highlighter shade included, but I've actually used the highlighter also as an eyeshadow. And with this one we will do as we have always done with my palette reviews. So in here you will see a photo, and I actually do have also swatches from the multi-use face palette. I do have actually swatches of all the like bronzer, blush and highlighter shades, so you will be seeing those and I will be discussing those when we come to that. But let's now first go to the like clear individual that was only an eyeshadow. So in the Christmas cracker boxes, I just realized I was supposed to review the eyeliner. Well, I will go through the eyeliner after this one, so sorry, we're not going this in order that I initially said. So in the Christmas cracker gift boxes, there comes an eyeshadow palette. I actually think this was a very, altogether this was a very good format, and I do like the size of this one. So in the red palette, if you chose the red version of the Christmas cracker gift box, it was on the pull palette for eye and face, and this is how it's looking. So, and I like, as I said, I really did like this kind of theming that they have gone with this collection. This is a very Christmas-esque and executed in a very good way. And if you got the red version of the box, I'm actually gonna see that. Could I bend the mirror? I can. And this is how the palette is looking. So both of the palettes, also if you chose the gold version of the box, I believe the eyeshadow palette also in that one, it's a very sort of neutral leaning palette. So I think that if you are planning to get the both of the sort of gift boxes in this Christmas cracker series, I think the palettes necessarily don't add any value, because I do think that also the other palette that is quite neutral. The high face shade in this one is this one, so this is actually supposed to be a highlighter. You can kinda, when I'm gonna like, you will see I don't think it's maybe that visible in the swatches because I actually built it in the swatch picture that you will see soon, but when you kinda swatch this out compared to the shimmer eyeshadows, you can feel that this is a much thinner formula compared to the shimmer shadows. For me this is a bit of a too deep of a shade for a highlighter, but as a golden shimmery eyeshadow it has worked fine. I really love this sort of format where they had altogether 8 shades, and then I don't actually mind the big highlighter shade that much. The gradient of this one is pretty good. You have from colors from lightest to deepest. You're gonna now see I'm gonna pop in the swatch photo and 3 looks. You can see from the looks clearly that this isn't like the versatile palette, because it is still at the end of the day a basic brown neutral palette, and also within the browns there isn't that much variety, because I do think that the 2 mid-tone browns that these have in the middle, those do kinda in some cases end up looking a bit samey on the eyes, but I do still think that the overall, like how the sort of user experience I had with this was very pleasant. Something I will have to say, I think with this one, and I will discuss this with the bigger palette that I will show afterwards, is that I think definitely something has been done with the shimmer formula. I was actually now thinking that I don't think that I have tried a palette that Louise has actually launched this year, so the latest palette that I have as a comparison that I know is relatively new in the collection is actually the winter, the 2-tiered blue palette that I got in their sort of, it was in one of their budget boxes at the end of like last year. So actually I don't have any comparisons of palettes after that one, because the palettes that I have gotten within mystery boxes, those have been older palettes, and we did see that I actually had to declutter one of the palettes because I wasn't such a fan of the quality of the shimmers. With this one, there is definitely like something has been done with these, because they are very they're very sparkly, and they even have one duochrome in here, so it's this middle shade over here. They actually, in the bigger palette too that I will be showing, in that one there's actually like one true multichrome, and then there's actually like a duochrome in it, and it's just that the way that they sort of go on the lids, there's not like creasing, they're still very smooth and very sparkly, so I definitely think that if you've been eyeing these sort of Christmas palettes from Louise, I would actually maybe see, and you can now actually get the palettes also individually, which is kind of nice. So actually I think these palettes, like I would give them a go, especially if you haven't liked Louise's eyeshadow formula before, because now I do feel that the shimmers, they have like done something to upgrade them. So I do think that despite the fact that this is a very basic brown palette, I actually do like this quite a lot. Next, let's move to the sort of eyeliner before we will go through that very big palette. So within the Christmas cracker gift boxes, they also have one eyeliner. In the red version there is a brown one, I believe in the golden version, if you get it, there's a white. Here is how it's looking. I can again maybe kinda, if you have, I did do a YouTube shorts of this one, so if you have watched that, you have seen the probably the swatches before. It's a nice creamy eyeliner. I use my eyeliners occasionally on my lower eyeline. I really don't think, I sometimes try to do a wing also to my like upper lid, but not exactly something I like doing. But in a lower lash line, this is a good, it's a creamy formula. I did though feel that even though it was creamy when you applied it, it wasn't creamy to the point where you it sort of disappeared on your eyes. I actually used this during my birthday day, and it was actually a pretty good day to sort of test out a new eyeliner, because on that day we had, it was like it was windy, at one point it rained quite heavily, and I was very much on the move during that particular day, so it was actually a pretty good day to see how weatherproof this was. And I do have to say this fared out quite well. I think I put my makeup during the morning, it was around 9 or 10 o'clock, and then at the evening when we came from my birthday dinner with my husband, I think it was like somewhere between 9 and 10, maybe it was like closer to 9 during the evening, and I had seen in the evening when I looked in the mirror, it had already like worn a bit from both of the sides, like on my lower like lash line, but aside from a bit of like wearing off, I do think that most of it was still very input. So I think that if you buy one of these like for your lower lash line, or if you get this in your gift set, then, and if this is a product that you use in your routine, I do think this will last relatively well. And now let's get to the sort of big product. So I did also get the sort of Sweet Escape Make Magic Memories palette, and this is a palette that you were able to buy already when they launched like all the Christmas stuff, so you were able to buy this already separately. However, this was also included in some of the bigger gift sets that were available on the website. This is supposed to light up, but I think you will have to put the batteries in yourself, so if you have the battery, I have seen this is there, you're supposed to get lights over here, and this is something that Louise has done with a lot of their palettes. This is a new format, so last year they did all their big palettes in this sort of two-tiered sort of box format. Now they are doing, this year I have seen now that they are doing these books. So basically what's the mechanics with this one? So the palettes open from the side, and depending on the palette, and let's see, I'm a bit afraid about the mirror. And depending on the palette, there's gonna be, because I have now seen some versions of these palettes, you have 3 tiers of eyeshadows. This has 4 tiers, but it has like eyeshadows. Then you have blushes. I hope my camera is capturing this. Then you're having bronzers. This is also very inconvenient to film with just FYI. And then you have the last. Let's see, I think you aren't able to see, but yeah, you have the highlighters. So first of all, in terms of convenience, you really need to have a separate table that you do your makeup in. So if you're someone who does makeup in small places, don't buy this one, because just the fact that you have to like move through the sort of different tiers and have this sort of standing somehow even, it's been a bit of a work. Let's maybe first go through the, how are we gonna do this? I'll go first cheek products, and with cheek products I actually also did exceptionally, you will have also swatches of them. So first one was this layer here, and first I'm gonna show this one just opened up, and then we will, and I have no idea by the way what my camera is showing currently, but so altogether with the face layers you got 8 shades, and with the highlighters I'm actually happy to say that I am actually able to, like, I have no idea how I'm supposed to hold this. How do all the fancy YouTubers do this? So anyway, this is gonna be a hot mess. With the highlighters I'm actually happy to say that I can use like 4 of these, so actually I can like use half of these on my skin tone and they don't look like I have a cast. So it's the 4 upper ones over here. Now I'm gonna pop in the swatches so you can kind of see how they look swatched out. I would have to say that especially the 2 white based ones that are in the upper row, those were a bit on the glittery side when you applied them to your cheeks, so that's maybe something to consider, especially if you're someone like me who already has bit textures on their cheekbones, or not their cheekbone but their cheekbone area. The more golden based leading highlighters, I felt that those applied a bit more smoother. I can't say anything about how the lower highlighters, because those are too deep for me, so aside from the swatches I don't know how those would like apply to your cheeks, but overall I do think that, especially compared to the fact that I did get one of the, in the Easter egg budget box earlier this year, I did get a face palette, and with the face palette I did critique that the highlighter formula, it was very dry, and it like emphasized all the wrong things in my sort of cheek area, and it just wasn't nice. But I'm happy to say that these highlighters aren't dry, they actually do look, they are quite like shiny highlighters, so that's also something to consider, that if you want something more subtle, these highlighters aren't for you. But they were like sparkly shiny highlighters, and they do the thing which they're meant to do, which is highlighting. But yeah, just be aware that the more white based ones, those are maybe a bit more like glittery compared to then the golden based ones that are a bit more smoother. Overall I'm much happier with these ones than with the highlighter that I tested out in the sort of Easter egg budget box. Then next one, let's go to the bronzer page, and again so I think these are supposed to be the same formula as their individual cream bronzers that they actually did launch this year. I have discussed, I think when I reviewed the individual cream bronzer, that my issue is that all these shades are the undertones are very warm leaning, which of course with bronzers they are also meant to be a bit warmer, but for me they are already in the warm side, like too warm side, that they're almost like either too orangey or reddish. And with this one, how I have tested this basically out is that I have been using these two shades mixed together, and I can kinda get a shade that suits me. I'm not such a big fan, like with bronzer shades I get it because this is meant to be an all over face palette. You're now gonna see all the bronzer shades swatched out. If you put like bronzer shade for everyone in a palette like this one, I get it, and that's cool, but with cream bronzers especially, because these are like literally creams, my concern is that with powder products, those actually don't expire that quickly. Like there are like powder products that can be good for years and years if you store them in a dry sort of storage environment. However, with creams, they will expire, and my concern maybe in terms of longevity of this palette, and I maybe should have looked in a bit more carefully what kind of formulas were in this palette. With creams, these will expire, and my concern is that at some point the creams are gonna expire, and usually when cream products expire they will also start maybe smelling quite bad, and mold can start growing and all these kind of unpleasant things. But I can't get this like how these are, because this is attached, so I can't like basically rip this bronzer tier out of it without like breaking the palette basically. So yeah, that's not like, I maybe would have wished that they would have just sticked with their powder bronzers. Maybe they could have included, because I do know that they have done I for example have the powder bronzer palette from their holiday collection last year, because I did get that one in one of my mystery boxes. But maybe they could have maybe put the baked bronzer, powder bronzer formula that they also launched during this year, because I know that the cream products have been pretty trendy in terms of cheek products, but for me I think the bronzers are the biggest letdown, just because I'm pretty concerned about the fact that I know that unlike with the powders, the creams, they will expire at one point, and then it's gonna be like that, okay, but how am I gonna get the expired bronzers out without like damaging the whole palette, because the powders will most likely still be usable for much longer time. Also something about the formula, I think they are saying that this is supposed to be the same formula that is in their sort of like cream bronzers that they sell individually, but this does feel a bit more, how should I say, slippery compared to that one, because I did mention when I reviewed one of the individual cream bronzers that was a bit of a stiffer cream bronzer formula. So I don't think this is exactly the same, even though I think they might be claiming that this is the same formulation. But yeah, I'm not, let's just say that this cream bronzer page isn't maybe my favorite part about this particular palette. Then the last of the cheek products, so blushes, and again we're gonna be trying to fit all of us in the frame. So blushes, this again isn't the first, this was probably the most unnecessary page of this particular palette, because let's face it, I already, for example, owned 2 separate P. Louise like blush palettes, so now I have another 8 shades of P. Louise blushes, and I already did also get the cream blush with the same order, so yeah, that was unnecessary, but we all know that I've been a fan of blushes. So with these blushes, I'm gonna say that I have been able to make all of these shades work for me. There is the sort of, with the only shade that I really didn't try out was this deepest one over here, because that's obviously gonna be too deep for me no matter how light of a hand I would use. But aside from the deeper shade, I'm gonna see now the swatches again. If you tap your brush and really carefully go to also the other shades, then you are able to also make them work at a more fairer skin tone. I do have to say, because I have actually now seen, if you don't want to get spoilers from the advent calendar, maybe don't listen to this part, but I have seen the blush palette, individual blush palette that comes with the advent calendar, and with that particular individual blush palette that is just exclusive to the P. Louise advent calendar this year, I think the shades are a bit more lighter and mid-toned. So I think that compared to that one, you certainly aren't getting doubles. These are much brighter and punchier shades than the blushes that are going to be included in their advent calendar. So that's just something, if you're considering that you got the advent calendar and then you're thinking that you still want to use, because in the advent calendar they also have this kind of a book style palette, but that's the one that only has eyeshadows in it, so you aren't getting duplicate products if that's something that you're concerned about. But yeah, overall I think the blush shades, they work same as all other P. Louise powder blushes. They are, or because the shades are punchier, use a lighter hand if you have a fair skin tone like I do, but I don't think there's anything like, it's not anything like super like special compared to other P. Louise blush formulas, but if you have like P. Louise blush formulas, then I know that you will probably also like this one. So I don't think with these particular blushes they haven't done any like sort of upgrading, but then again I have liked their powder blush formula before, and I do think these are pretty good. Then lastly, let's go to the eyeshadows, and with this one, aside from swatches, I actually do have the 3 looks, so I have no idea how I'm gonna show this because this is very maybe it's showing. So the eyeshadows in this one are this sort of like, it is like this candy cane type of a color story, so it's a pink red neutral leaning color story altogether. I'm just gonna actually pop in the swatches because maybe that's a bit more easier way to handle this one, and then you can see the eye looks. So from the eye looks you can probably see that with this one you can actually do a neutral eyeshadow look with this one, but most of the looks are going to be leaning this more sort of reddish and pinkish looks. As with the more neutral palette, I do have to say that also the shimmers in this one, it is again much, I think, better shimmer formula than what I have tried from the brand before, and there is, I think, I'm gonna see it if I can get the duochrome actually showing on my finger. I have no idea, can you see the shifts? But basically there is one duochrome, sorry, not duochrome, I think this is a true multi-chrome shade that they have in the palette, and then there's actually one of the pink shades, pink shimmers also is a sort of duochrome, so it's a pink shift into gold. But I would say that I think that also the, like aside maybe from the highlighters, the eyeshadows are my favorite part of this palette, because I think this color story, it's gonna be very popular because, sorry, because it's a more pink leaning eyeshadow color story that has big neutrals in it. The shimmers are very beautiful. I do think the shimmer to matte ratio, because Louise has been known of doing a bit like matte heavy palettes. I do think that this still has like more mattes than shimmer shades, but I do think the shimmer shades, there's now like a bit more of them maybe compared to some of their previous palettes. Generally, I would say that who this palette maybe is for, I think this is definitely one of those products, like for someone like me who has a pretty big makeup collection, it can be very much argued, and especially as someone who's already accumulated quite a lot of Louise products in general, like maybe this wasn't as, how should I say, like you don't definitely like need makeup altogether, but for me definitely this might have been like something that I could have easily skipped. However, I am still pretty happy that I get this, but for who I would maybe get this one for, I would definitely like get this one for someone who is just like maybe still growing, like someone who wants to get into makeup and you want them to have like everything, because this palette has everything, as we have seen. It has you have the cheek products and you have the eye products in it, so you can basically gift someone a whole face of makeup with the one palette. It is very bulky, so that is also why you maybe should consider that if the person has a lot of makeup already, then is this maybe is this gonna fit into your collection? But for someone who is just like getting into makeup and you want to gift them something that has maybe it of all, and I do think this is like, yeah, this isn't like definitely anything cheap. So in euros, I think this was like over 50 euros. But then when you start breaking it down, that you do get for the 50 euros, you do get 8 highlighters, you get 8 blushes, you get 8 shades of bronzer, and then you get a full-on eyeshadow palette that has a very good gradient from light to deep shades. Then I don't think the 50 euros, I think this is much better value compared to some of the like, to the sort of kids makeup sets that I used to, for example, get when I was a preteen, that had a very low quality makeup that you really like, no adult would use them, but this is actually that you will get a, like, you can gift someone real makeup that will actually work for them. And if you are of course a huge Louise fan, then you are still probably going to like this one. But just be aware that this is very like, it's very thick, so maybe make sure that you have something to store. I do think this might be a bit easier to store than the sort of 2-tiered palettes that they were doing like in previous year, but these are still like pretty chunky altogether. But yeah, that was actually the last product, and let's now maybe go to my final conclusions about the Louise's holiday collection for this year. So, what are my final thoughts? I do think that, I mean, the collection is a hit for me, even though it's like a very, like, this is definitely in terms of design and what kind of products are made, this is geared more towards like teenagers, young adults, like someone in their 30s, you would maybe think that maybe something a bit more refined, but I actually do kind of like this. Like, I think this is like, it's a bit like extra Christmas theme without still being like pulling it too far. I do think the packaging design especially is something that Louise is pretty good at doing, but also like this year I can genuinely say that also the products themselves are, they are like good makeup. Then it's just maybe to your individual preferences, that is the makeup the kind of quality of makeup that you like to wear. But generally I would say that also it's not only anymore pretty, like because with Louise previously it might have been that the packaging is very extra, but maybe the product quality inside hasn't been always that good. But I would genuinely say that all these products, they do work, and there isn't like any, I would say that we didn't, well, maybe this, I would say that the keychain lip gloss, but this was more of a packaging thing, because the gloss itself, yeah, it's a bit of a more thicker gloss, but it is still a very nice gloss that does what lip gloss is supposed to do. So I think only true like product I maybe wasn't so excited about was this one, but it's more related to how this is packaged rather than the product inside. But altogether, I do say that all the products are quite like winners, and I would say that if you have been looking any of these products, then maybe see that can you get them at a Black Friday deal. I believe Louise is not running, their Black Friday is going to be much shorter this year, so I think it's gonna begin 25th on Monday. This video I think is supposed to be up when the Black Friday sale is already going, but I don't think that it's gonna go that long, because I know that last year it lasted almost for a month. I think this year they're just doing maybe the Black Friday week and Cyber Monday. Comment down below, what did you think about this collection? Have you bought any of these items, or are you planning to buy them? Or if you have tried something else from their Christmas collection, how did you like the products? If you like this video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from my future content. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog, on Instagram. I hope we're gonna see you again soon in a video. Bye bye!